get started. Y'all ready? Okay, the first and most important step to your personal brand is your personal story. Now, I know some people in the marketing world would disagree. Nobody really cares about your story. Yes, they do, especially if you're starting out. Especially if you're starting out. I love Tribe Writers because it really digs into your personal story. How many of you feel like you have a story that should be shared and can really help people? So what am I going to do? Come up here and tell you it doesn't matter? Of course it does. You're an artist. You're creative. People care about your journey. All right, stalker effect. Who's ever gone onto Wikipedia.com, looked up some celebrity, and the first tab you opened is personal life? Anyone? You know, look at around the room, you stalkers. Okay? This is because people care. People want to know about your personal story. I'm not going to spend too much time here because that's what Tribe Writers does for you. Jeff is helping you do this, but I want you to understand this is the biggest differentiator you have in your brand. I once was talking to a coach, an executive rather, who wanted to get into executive coaching. And she said, Mike, I don't really know how to differentiate myself from the rest of the coaches that are out there. I said, this is really easy. Why don't we just tell your story? She said, no one's going to care about my story. You know what her story was? She and her husband had lost a child in childbirth. She didn't want to go to counseling because she thought it would be seen as a weakness because of her corporate position. She found a coach instead. Someone recommended coaching. And those of you who are coaches know that coaching is all about asking questions and drawing out things, right, from people's own conclusions. And it changed her life. And that's why she wanted to become a coach. Anyone rather hire her than someone just says, I'm going to help you improve your life? You see the difference? It's a story. In a personal brand, and for each and every one of you as an artist and creative, this is going to sound so crazy, but it is the truth, and it is this, that the messenger is more important than your message. You are the message. So if you're sitting here, what is my first book going to be about? But I want to write a second one. I'm not sure which one should come first, and we get all confused as to what to do. I want to liberate you, set you free from that. You're the message. The messenger in a personal brand is more important than the message. How many of you would buy a book that Jeff wrote and you don't even care what the book's about? You just buy it just because it's Jeff. Raise your hands. Come on, show him some. Jeff, look at this room. I'm pre-selling you, brother. Okay, look, you don't even care what he's going to write about because you love him. I don't know why, but you love him. I love him, right? You just love him. He's at a point in his brand that he has become the message. But when you're first starting out, we lose sight of this and we hide behind the fact that we have to create the perfect book or the perfect talk or the perfect message. And a lot of people call me because they want help in marketing. And rightfully so, because they think marketing leads to money. That's what they think. But I'm going to give you a third M that precedes these two. And please write this one down. This is really important, especially in a room like this. You know what precedes marketing and money? Movement. Every person in here that's creating art isn't creating art for the sake of it. You want to launch a movement. Those of you who are writing books about motherhood or surviving trauma or overcoming tragedy or starting your own business, you don't want to just start a business. You don't want to just make money. You're trying to actually create a movement. It would be a disservice for me to call some of the great figures in history marketers. Jesus Christ was a marketer. No. Martin Luther King was a marketer. Doesn't that just sound wrong? They led movements. But I'll tell you what, they had marketing teams. And when you tap into the movement you're trying to start, then marketing becomes easy. Does this make sense? Yeah. That's why we're trying to get, I love what Todd said yesterday about what angers you. What really angers you? I use a little more coarse language because I'm from the Northeast, just outside of New York City. I just ask people, what pisses you off? That's how we talk. What pisses you off and what breaks your heart? And what's the big problem you're trying to solve? Because if we can get into that, we're not stuck in our heads. And I love my head. I think it comes up with some good ideas. But when you get into a movement, you get into your heart. And then a marketer like me can take that and say, okay, now we're going to infuse your marketing materials. It's going to sound compelling, persuasive. It's going to have some bite to it. It's not going to sound like everybody else. So a movement. If this is you, can you just raise your hand and say, I'm starting a movement? Come on, say it over yourself. I'm starting a movement. Look somebody in the eye and say, I'm starting a movement. Do you believe this? Do you believe this? Because if you don't, no one else will. Yeah, I loved it. This table over here, high five. Come on, give somebody a high five. I'm starting a movement. Come on, baby. Okay? So your personal story. I love this. I love this. All right, awesome. You can get artistic and creative people to make noise while you're speaking. You've won half the battle. All right? This is awesome, okay? So the personal story is the foundation of everything in your brand. It is the foundation, and everything will sequentially build off of this because the next step is going to be your platform. So many people start platforms, whether it's a blog or it's something like Thinkific, which is a wonderful platform, you know, other Medium, whatever website you want to use, and they say, what do I put on my platform? Your personal story. You see how it makes sense? Don't just start a blog this afternoon, because if you do and you do all the technical stuff, you'll be really discouraged because you don't have anything to fill it with. But if you have a personal story and you've done the work through Tribe Writers and other resources that Jeff has provided for you, you now have something to actually put on your platform. And now when I meet you, and you tell me a little bit about yourself, you're not going to hand me your business card. This is a side tip, okay? You're not going to hand me your business card. You're just going to take a selfie and be like, email it to me and send your blog link. Done. And now I have somewhere to go to check out more of who you are, right? So you got a platform. Once you have a platform, you think about the third step, which is positioning. And this is huge. When it comes to positioning, what I'm really essentially asking you today is, are you Louis Vuitton or Walmart? Which one do you want to be? It's up to you. Both business models work. But which one do you want to be? Positioning is all about your relationship to your competitors. I had a friend, he owns one of the largest moving companies in the state of Connecticut. He handles very, very high-end items for very wealthy people. And I said, hey, how's business going? He's like, oh, you know, always got to watch out for the competition. I was like, what competition? You're the biggest company in Connecticut. He's like, my competition's anyone who has a truck. My competition's anyone who has a friend who has a pickup truck. And I was like, that's brilliant. That's the reality. Many of us don't want to admit that. We don't want to face it, but that's reality. So are you Louis Vuitton or Walmart? Where do you want to sit in relationship to your competitors? Because if you know this, if you say, let's just say, for example, I want to be a Louis Vuitton type brand. I want to be high end. I want to be exclusive. You know what? It makes it really easy to figure out the next step, which is what product you're going to create. I'm pretty sure the teams at Louis Vuitton don't sit around and figure out how they can make $5 fidget spinners. It's off-brand. Is this making sense? Do you see how just one builds right on top of the other? If I know my positioning, I know what kind of product I should create for those people. If I know my positioning and I want to be a wider audience, I want to be kind of a Walmart brand and really appeal through mass appeal, well, I'm going to write and I'm going to create $10 to $15, $20 products. But I'm going to have to grow a large email list. You see how the strategy changes, right? But if you're charging $2,000 or $3,000 for someone to come to your workshop, you don't need a huge email list. You just need a few select buyers, and you'll make a lot of money. It drives every single decision as you go right on up this process. So once you have your product, it makes it really easy to determine your price. Everyone just go, how much should I charge people from my mastermind group? How much should I charge them for 1 hour of coaching? How much should I charge for my product? If you know your positioning 2 steps earlier, the question kind of answers itself.